A judge openly insults Pam Bondi in court. Moments later, she has him in handcuffs. You won't believe what just happened. Pam Bondi was no stranger to pressure. She had spent years battling in the legal trenches, handling some of the country's most challenging cases. But today felt different. As she stepped into Judge Howard Gates' courtroom, a man notorious for his sharp tongue and unpredictable rulings, she knew this wouldn't be just another routine hearing. The case before them? A high-stakes government ethics violation with the power to shake up more than a few political careers. The defendant, a wealthy developer with deep political connections, was accused of funneling state funds into his private projects. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and Bondi was prepared. What she wasn't prepared for was the hostility radiating from the bench before she even spoke a word. Judge Gates barely acknowledged her as she approached the plaintiff's table. Instead, he flipped through a file slowly, deliberately, allowing the courtroom to sink into an eerie silence. This wasn't just procedural, it was a statement. Then, finally, without even glancing up, he spoke. Miss Bondi, I assume you've come prepared with something of actual substance today? Or should we skip to the part where you waste my time? A few quiet chuckles echoed from the defendant's legal team. Bondi ignored them. She had faced worse. Your Honor, I believe the evidence will speak for itself, she replied firmly. This case involves the misuse of taxpayer dollars, and my job is to ensure the facts are presented accurately. Judge Gates leaned back, feigning boredom. Taxpayer dollars, right? Because that's never been the foundation of a frivolous case before. Bondi's jaw tightened, but her tone remained steady. Respectfully, Your Honor, felony corruption charges are hardly frivolous. For a moment, their eyes locked, his cold and calculating, hers unwavering. But before she could continue, he cut her off again. Miss Bondi, spare me the lectures. Just get to the point. I don't have all day to entertain whatever grandstanding you have planned. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Judges could be tough, but this felt different. This felt personal. Pam took a slow breath, recalibrating. She knew exactly what was happening. Gates was trying to throw her off balance, control the tempo, and force her onto the defensive. But she wasn't about to let him have that satisfaction. She calmly picked up a folder, flipping it open. Your Honor, I'd like to direct the court's attention to Exhibit A. These financial records clearly demonstrate. Miss Bondi, Gates interrupted, smirking. Do you always insist on drowning people in paperwork? Or is this just your way of compensating? The atmosphere in the courtroom shifted instantly. The defense attorney smirked. A few reporters exchanged knowing glances.
But Bondi?
She didn't flinch. She had long since learned that men like Judge Gates thrived on intimidation. The only way to beat them was to never let them see you sweat. So, instead of reacting, she calmly closed the folder, clasped her hands together, and tilted her head ever so slightly. Your Honor, if you prefer to make this personal, I'm happy to request a recess while we address any professional concerns you may have. Her words weren't aggressive. They weren't disrespectful. But they were pointed. A warning. The judge's lips curled slightly. Amusement? Annoyance? It was hard to tell. But he wasn't finished with her yet. Oh, I don't have concerns, Miss Bondi, he said. I just know a weak case when I see one. This time, the reaction in the courtroom wasn't just murmurs. There were audible gasps. Someone whispered something under their breath. Judges weren't supposed to conduct hearings like this. Pam could feel the room shifting, eyes darting between her and Gates like spectators at a tennis match. But she wasn't going to let him drag her into a shouting match. That's what he wanted. Instead, she adjusted her blazer, straightened a few papers, and met his gaze head-on. Then I suppose we should let the evidence do the talking. But as she spoke, she caught something in his expression. Not just arrogance. Not just condescension. There was something deeper. A flicker of something hidden. And that's when she realized this wasn't just courtroom theatrics. Judge Gates wasn't being combative for sport. He had something to hide. But what he didn't know.
So, did she?
Knuckles white, as if holding on for dear life, the walls were closing in, and he knew it. Judge Gates' voice was quieter now, almost pleading. This isn't how it's supposed to go, but it was. The officers guided him down from the bench, past the rows of stunned faces. The same people who had once feared him now watched his downfall with an unspoken understanding. Power unchecked never lasts forever. Pam Bondi didn't smile, didn't revel in the moment. Instead, she gathered her papers, her job here done. Justice had spoken louder than intimidation, louder than corruption, louder than fear. And as the doors swung open and Judge Howard Gates was led away in handcuffs, the courtroom, just for a moment, felt like the fairest place in the world.